Whether planning a menu for a restaurant or for a busy Thanksgiving meal, it is a lifesaver to have a few items that can be executed with minimal effort and attention. Few things fit the description better than the simple roasted vegetable. And some vegetables like carrots, broccoli, potatoes, cauliflower, butternut squash, Brussels sprouts, many, many more are actually at their best when roasted in this way. So let's take a look at this simple process, first with broccoli and then with carrots. When you are cutting your florets, the most important thing is to try and make the sizes as consistent as possible to ensure that they all cook at the same rate. This is one drawback to buying broccoli florets pre-cut. It will save you time, but they can be really inconsistent. So if you do buy pre-cut florets, just check for large ones and cut those down so that everything is similar in size. So we've got these cut into large but still bite-sized florets, and now it is time to toss them with a little bit of oil. Now I put them in a large bowl, and I add just enough oil to lightly coat the florets. For reference, I used a 1/4 cup of oil for 3 heads of broccoli, but what you want to do is add just enough oil so that there is a shine on the florets, but not so much that oil is dripping off. You could season the florets at this point while they're in the bowl, but I like to do it after spreading them out on a sheet tray. So pick your sheet tray that will brown the veggies best. Like if you have one that tends to burn the bottom of cookies, use that one. Generally, a heavier sheet tray will brown better than a more lightweight sheet tray. And keep in mind you can also use a large pan or skillet instead of a sheet tray if that would work better. Spread the broccoli out on your sheet tray in a single layer without overcrowding it. It helps to have a little bit of space in between florets if possible. Now I also like to flip the florets so that they are cut side down. This will help the broccoli get better color while it roasts. Now that the broccoli is spread out, I'm going to season with salt and pepper. I like seasoning at this point because it's easier to get consistent seasoning across all the florets. Now I'm just going to keep it simple, salt and pepper only, but after it's done roasting, we can add all sorts of flavors like Parmesan cheese or lemon or a flavored butter or whatever we want. Pop the broccoli into a 425-degree oven and roast for about 20 minutes until the broccoli is tender. This timing may vary slightly depending on what size you've cut your florets, but it will be in that 20-minute ballpark. Now you can tell the broccoli is tender by piercing it with the tip of a paring knife. It should pierce easily, but you can also tell if the broccoli is tender by just popping a piece into your mouth and eating it. If it's the tenderness you like, you're done. If it's not quite there, then pop it in for a few more minutes until it is the tenderness you like. Now, while the plain salt and pepper version of this roasted broccoli is delicious on its own, and many times I'll just serve it like that, now's the opportunity when you can add other flavors. You can hit it with a flavored butter and toss that in there. You can hit it with some lemon juice or some Parmesan cheese or some fresh herbs, whatever you'd like. But this is where you can kind of take the flavor in different directions. But it is great just on its own as salt and pepper roasted broccoli. Now to help achieve that really nice char on the vegetables like you get when you eat them at a restaurant, I highly recommend not tossing or flipping the vegetables halfway through the roasting process. By leaving it in contact with the pan on the same side the entire time, you're much more likely to achieve that really nice char that provides so much flavor and texture to the roasted broccoli. Now, like I said, broccoli is not the only vegetable that you can roast. In fact, there are a ton of vegetables that are absolutely delicious roasted. One of them being carrots. The easiest versions of roasted carrots is to start with baby carrots, which are already fairly uniform in size. Now, since baby carrots can be pretty wet when you remove them from the bag, you definitely want to dry them off for any chance at getting browning during the roasting process. Once dry, just go through and cut the thicker carrots in half lengthwise so they are similar thickness to the rest of the carrots. Once all your carrots are at a similar size, just like with broccoli, we're going to toss it in oil. Now you won't use quite as much oil as you did with the broccoli. I used about a tablespoon of oil for a small bag of baby carrots. But really you can just look at it. All you're trying to do is get a nice thin sheen of oil on each carrot. Just like with the broccoli, you're going to spread the carrots out onto your thickest, heaviest sheet pan, which will give you the best chance at some nice browning. And then put the carrots face side down and spread them out so that they're not overcrowded. Now that the carrots are spread out, you can go ahead and give them a nice even coating of salt as well as black pepper. and then we're going to be ready to throw it in the oven. Now, with broccoli, I had it at 425. These carrots, I'm going to set mine for 400, but it's because my sheet pan gets really nice browning on stuff. If you're using just a normal sheet pan that's not necessarily heavy duty, you go ahead and raise your temperature up to 425. That'll probably give you a better chance of getting some color on those carrots. But either way, we're going to cook them for 25 minutes. My oven is at 400 degrees. Just like with the broccoli, you can check whether they are done by using a paring knife, and you want that knife to go in pretty easily to check for tenderness. Another option, just take one of the carrots, pop it in your mouth, bite into it. If it's the tenderness you like, you're done. If you need it to go in a little longer, pop it in for a few more minutes until it does reach the tenderness you like. And just like with the broccoli, these carrots are beautiful as is. Salt and pepper bring out a really beautiful carrot flavor by roasting them. But at this point, you could also brush them with a flavored butter. You could throw some herbs or roasted garlic or Parmesan, whatever you want to flavor these. You can do at this point, but you're good to go if you just leave them at salt and pepper. I hope this video was helpful. Roasting vegetables is a beautiful technique. It's a lifesaver in the kitchen. It frees you up to do other things, and it just tastes good and is easy. So experiment with it. Try other vegetables like Brussels sprouts and potatoes and sweet potatoes, butternut squash. There's quite a few vegetables that do really well by roasting. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.